It's important to understand when you're trying to reconstruct the plays of the first assault to understand that he said these are in gioco largo. What does that mean? He never explicitly says how far away that is intended to be, but we have evidence from Anonimo Bolognese of what it actually is. So, given what we know about gioco largo, is that this play should begin at a distance wider than 2 steps apart. Meaning, if it takes 2 steps to reach him, if I'm able to strike him and I have started 2 steps away, this is what we consider normal fighting distance or gioco stretto. Gioco largo is further than that, somewhere between 2.5 to 3. Okay, with that understanding, my opponent is in Porta Alta. I am in Guardia di Entrare in Largo Passo. At this measure, I throw a falso manco, passing my right foot straight forward. That is this rising false edge cut to here. Now, why? Not to hit, not to wound, he says, in order to make the opponent depart from their guard. So without moving his feet, he can turn into curlunga stretta. There. He departed from his guard. I'm not close enough to reach. You have to bear that in mind when you're doing these plays. Gioco largo will not allow for that contact on the first step. So when I get that to happen, I've stepped straight forward. Then I throw a tramazzone that is going over here toward the left temple as I pass my left foot. Even that can't reach. So here's how we're going to begin this training to understand this play. Is we start at appropriate measure. In this guard, I throw a falso manco stepping 1 foot forward. I make a tramazzone stepping this foot forward. And that's blockable. In fact, that's why I did it. So that my opponent would block that. The perception of an attack to the side of the head. 1, here, forward. This, falso manco. This, there may be contact there. There may not be. Again, we're at a distance where I'm not even caring if there's any contact. This could become right away a tramazzone here with a step. And practicing it so that we get a hit there. What happens is I'll not hit, but I'll be able to reach the leg. This is an interesting effect here, measure-wise. It's almost like using geometry to overcome limits of measure, limitations. Watch. As I say, I can't, at this measure, when I throw this tramazzone, I cannot reach with a step here. He parries that, but when I transform this into a reverso that falls, that actually hits the leg. Isn't that interesting? Can't reach that, can reach that. Very interesting, because we'll look at the geometry of the shoulders here. But this transforms and my shoulders change, and guess what? All of a sudden, I can reach that fine. Interesting deception of measure here. So this, and there's one more part. So start here at a measure. A rising falso manco, that is, don't take your tip away immediately. Lower your hands, whip your wrists, throw a falso manco stepping straight ahead here. This becomes a tramazzone, this action, toward the left temple. Take a step here. As you step, he says, make a show of a tramazzone. That actually falls as a reverso. So the tramazzone changes and falls to a reverso. This is a full reverso. Goes through into curlunga di stesa. As it goes through, it goes right over the top and into the face as I pass back into Porta Alta. There is part 6. Again, I can't stress enough. Measure matters because through measure you can understand intention. If you don't have measure, you are not understanding intention. How can you get what they mean to do if you're not at the right distance? Things change. Distance changes everything. If you're doing this solo, you may have no partner. You may be forced to practice this solo. That's fine. You're learning certain things, guards, steps, cuts, etc. But it's not the play, really. Not really. Because you don't have the intention, because you don't have the measure. Because why? You don't have a partner. So it's really fully understood with a partner. Number one, falso manco. That's a falso manco, a false edge cut originating from your non-dominant side, left side, with a step straight forward. Not to wound, to make your opponent depart from their guard. That becomes next a tramazzone, wheel-like cut passing this foot over here diagonally, but do not let that connect, do not let that contact. That transforms by way of guardia di consentire to a leg cut. A reverso that comes around here, thrusts straight ahead as you pass back into porta di ferro alta. One last look. All the way through. Okay. This guard. Straighten this. Balanced. It's comfortable, really. This. Lower that. Throw a false edge up as you step straight ahead. This turns around on this side. So the falso that rose here turns around as a tramazzone toward that temple as I step. Here, that changes as I turn my body to be able to hit that through codalunga distesa, up over the top, crossed arm thrust, passing back, turning, porta for alta. Now you got it.